What's cracking, everyone? My name is Ryan, and today I'll be taking a look at the Noble FoKus Apollo. The FoKus series is a line of true wireless products from Noble Audio, and the Apollo is the first headphone to enter the lineup. In fact, there are a couple of firsts that Noble Audio has achieved with this headphone, so let's take a closer look. So the Apollo retails in at $649, which puts it in direct competition from other wireless headphones, such as the Focal Batiste, the Beyerdynamic Amaron, and even the B&K PX8, to name a few. Now, one thing that sets the Apollo apart from the competition is a world-first hybrid driver design on a headphone, consisting of both a dynamic and planar magnetic driver. Now, before I tell you about it, I do want to send a big thank you out to Audio 46, who provided me with the Apollo so that I could get all of my thoughts out on this headphone. As a reminder, Audio 46 never asked me to say anything in particular about a product they send me, just my honest thoughts and opinions. By the way, I highly recommend checking out Audio 46 online, as they have a huge assortment of audio products available. If you happen to be in New York, you can find Audio 46 right off of 46th Street, located in Times Square. You could stop in and get a demo of something you want to check out, which is honestly the best way to make a purchase decision in this hobby. Go on in, check them out, say hi, and show them some love. There are quite a few features to cover with this headphone, and I'm going to do so while showing you what comes inside the box, in case you didn't already watch my unboxing video, which I recommend you do that. Now first, this is a Bluetooth 5.3. The chip used here is Qualcomm QCC3084, which is said to have a very efficient power management system, something that will assist with the incredible battery life on the Apollo. Now before I tell you about that, let's quickly talk codecs. You will get the options for LDAC, AAC, aptX, aptX HD, and SBC. You will also get the option for multi-connect. Now that battery I mentioned, well, if you're wearing socks, they're about to be knocked off. It can get up to 80 hours of life with the volume at 50% and ANC turned off. Impressed? Well, you can get up to 60 hours still with ANC on and at 50% volume. Now, more on that in a bit. Now, as I mentioned, this does have ANC. In fact, it is a hybrid ANC that also has transparency mode, or just no ANC at all. This headphone also has an included detachable boom mic to level up your voice performance even further. Then you will get an included USB-C cable so that you can either charge or connect directly via USB to your device. You'll also get a single 4-pole 3.5mm auxiliary cable so that you can listen in passive mode and connect to a DAC amp separately. Now, by the way, that is a 4-pole 3.5 on both ends. You'll get 2 included adapters with the option for a 6.3 unbalanced adapter and even a 4.4 balanced adapter, though to be clear, that 4.4 connector, to my understanding, is simply for convenience and added options, but it won't suddenly make this a balanced connection. Now, I hope that makes sense, as I myself had to look it up because I was a little fuzzy on the details. Lastly, you do get an airplane adapter as well. Now, you're gonna need something to carry this all in, right? Noble takes care of you here as well with an included EVA case, which has a very nice feel and a lovely zipper to keep it securely in place. Now, as for the functions on the headphone, they are as follows. Starting on the right cup, you will see the ANC button towards the top. Then you will find the power and volume buttons. Now, power is also Bluetooth pairing, play and pause, voice assist, and communications. Volume will also work to skip tracks forward and backwards. Lastly, you will find the connection for the 3.5 auxiliary cable here on the right cup. Kind of wish it was on the left, but over on the left cup, you will find the mic mute switch, the USB-C input, and the detachable boom mic input as well. Hey everyone, quick interruption to remind you to please like the videos and subscribe, as I am really working to grow this channel. I do also have a Patreon if you'd like to become a member to provide extra support. Thank you to all of my Patreon members so far, and now let's get back to the video. Noble has achieved a world-first accomplishment with a hybrid driver design on this headphone. This headphone has a 40mm dynamic driver as well as a 14.5mm planar magnetic driver. Now, I couldn't find an exact SPL of this driver, but I was able to locate that it is a standard 32 ohms of impedance, so I can assure you it is very easy to drive. The Apollo is truly built like a tank in my opinion, not in a sense of heft, but just in quality. It is made up of an anodized aluminum frame all throughout. The cups have this woven fabric material right next to the pads, and that same material is found on top of the headband. The headband is a bit on the thin side and consists of memory foam for added comfort with an Alcantara surface. Now the pads are very soft, protein leather, and are said to be detachable. I said are said to be because that is according to Noble's site, and I didn't see a way to remove them. Perhaps this is a case of maybe issues down the road? I'm not quite sure. The adjustment is very easy to do as it clicks in or out to expand. This headphone seems like it will fit larger heads fairly easily, as I have quite a bit of room to expand, and I don't exactly have a peanut-sized head. Now my wife Bree, who has a smaller head, was able to wear this headphone just fine on almost the lowest setting for reference. So one of my first complaints about this headphone is with the comfort. That thin band up top that I mentioned does give me some discomfort and hot spots when I wear the Apollo for longer periods of time. I think this is due to just how memory foam is more squishy than plush. Comfort is going to vary from person to person, but I didn't care for the experience for my own part. Now, I didn't see weight listed on the site, but when I measured it on my own scale, the headphone seems to weigh, roughly, about 332 grams. I did go through my own method to test the claim on this battery life stated for the Apollo. To do so, I had the headphone paired up to a Samsung tablet of mine. I had the tablet in offline mode as to not get interrupted playing music, and it was feeding my own downloaded music through Tidal to the headphone with the timer on. The first 35 hours of the test, I was at about 60% volume with no ANC. When I checked on the Apollo, it was still sitting at 55% of battery life. So then I decided to switch ANC on, and I bumped the volume to about 70%. This got me to about 58 hours before the headphone was alerting me that it was around 5% and it was time to charge it. So in conclusion, I was able to get almost 60 hours of battery life in what I would consider normal playing conditions, if not a bit generous on the volume. Instead of running you through the entire app, it's best if I just highlight what you'll get instead. You'll have the option to choose from 6 EQ presets. You'll be able to create your own customized EQ by going through Noble's built-in hearing test. And then of course the ability to update the firmware. It's a pretty streamlined app, which is something I personally appreciate. So much so that I didn't have to read a manual for figuring out the app. Bravo, Apollo, or Noble, I should say. Okay, so let's go ahead and discuss the mic quality of the Apollo, and while doing so, I wanted to let you know that there are 3 internal microphones per side that assist with the hybrid ANC with a reduction depth of up to about -35 dB. You will also get the option to use transparency mode by a push of this button, and then completely turn off all the ANC and transparency mode by again pushing the button. Now the inclusion of the external boom mic really gives you some versatility to use this as a headset for gaming, Zoom calls, things like that. Though I'd imagine the internal mic would be the way to go when you're, on the go. Quick note on the ANC here. I do find this to be one of the better headphones I've listened to for noise canceling. It will change up the quality of your music, which I'll discuss here in just a minute when I take you through my sound impressions. Transparency mode worked very well as well, as it didn't turn me into a megaphone, as some transparency modes have done to me in the past on some other products. This one simply makes out of your head noise a bit more clearly heard or transparent. As I talk to you about sound, keep in mind I kept things on their default setting. Default EQ for the Apollo actually consists of a 7 dB boost to the entire frequency range. This, as expected, gives the Apollo plenty of volume without the need to crank up your phones or other devices to the max. So let's talk about the low end of this headphone first. The bass extends very deep with the Apollo. I do feel there is an elevation in that sub-bass region because this headphone can rumble in that low end. I listened to many tracks and especially noticed kick drums and bass instruments to really sustain that fullness of bass. A track example to give you is I'm Going Home by Danielle Nicole. There is an absolute authoritative bass line at the start of this track. It demands your attention as the vocals are being sung. Now, it doesn't take over the track and keep focus off of the rest. It just again sustains and has good body. This made me want to go sample another track I love for sub-bass rumble, and that is On My Level by Wiz Khalifa. Bumping up the volume slightly on this track almost caused the cups to vibrate from the bass cannon type response I was getting. Now that was all with Bluetooth, mind you. Now turning on the ANC, thinned out the bass and attack nature of the headphone. It was instantly noticed. I almost call it the unexciting way to listen to the Apollo, at least for me, though also a more relaxed listen. Now turning on transparency mode was slightly better, but still missing out on the energy you can get from the dynamics of the Apollo. Now it kind of makes sense given what those modes do, just something to take note of. I did also test this in passive mode, pairing this headphone up wired to my desktop amps. Passive mode did provide the most definition of notes and overall resolution, I would say, but still, I wouldn't say so much so that it makes Bluetooth not enjoyable. The advanced codecs here really assist with that, and I did find I had to be a bit more careful with volume running passive, as that natural 7 dB boost can be a bit much when powered by an amp. So I do recommend to mess with the EQ, especially if you do not like that extra amount of bass. Now the mid-range of the Apollo can be hit or miss with me, and I found that to be very track dependent. Well-recorded music will give the best response of mid-range, but poorly recorded music can almost feel lacking or have that scooped out nature. There is a track called Epiphany from the Piano Guys that I feel is an excellent recording. The cellos throughout the track are easily focused upon without taking anything away from the piano and other instruments within the mix. This showcases some layering, but also good definition of sound quality in the mids. Vocals can be a bit softer, I am finding with the Apollo, at least on the default EQ. Artists like Norah Jones have an almost sweet sound to her voice without having any harshness or shout, which can sometimes happen. This, I think, could be well received by many depending on your preferences. Now turning to passive mode, and again, it's just a better resolution and a bit more definition of sound. The same goes for whether or not you use ANC. ANC can really take away from more relaxing music, or what I call audiophile type music, and can underwhelm from that standpoint. This is where I would definitely recommend messing around with different EQ settings if you find yourself wanting just a bit more out of the mids or forwardness out of the mids. Rounding things off with treble is almost the same story as the mids. Treble has an overall softness and warmth to it. What is nice, however, is that it is still detailed treble from a technical standpoint. Yes, even with Bluetooth adding compression to the mix. A track like Miss Ida B by Buddy Guy, for example, showcases how the electronic guitar used here can be surgical while also being a pleasant way to listen. The same would go for string instruments and arrangements where you may need to decipher instruments from another. Even on some electronic tracks, such as Blah 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 by Armin van Buuren, do not have that metallic pierce to those vocals that I get with other headphones. It's got warmth and was enjoyable considering that bass pumping through and no stabby treble messing things up. Now I'll sound like a broken record here, but going passive will provide the most from a detailed and instrument separation standpoint. Thankfully, it didn't make the treble become stabby, even with a planar driver being used. Now I wouldn't say this is a wide staging headphone, but I am pleased with the layering and depth it provides. I also noticed from an imaging standpoint that it won't go far off to the left or to the right, but does maintain accuracy in the direction of sound. Now, a quick track example to explain what I mean here is I Loves You Porgy by Nina Simone. Her first line in this track is directly off to the left, typically. Now, I find this to tilt ever so slightly to the center, but still definitely off to the left, if that makes sense. So no, I don't call this bad imaging, just not the widest of an experience. So in wrapping up my thoughts on the Apollo, it is important that I tell you what I don't like about this headphone. Comfort is by far one of the biggest disappointments for me. Now, clamp force is fine, by the way. It's just the headband is too thin or just not enough cushion in a good way for my comfort tolerance. Second would be the included cables. I personally think they are not that great. Now, I didn't discuss this during the unboxing, so I'm choosing to let you know here and now. I'd go find myself a different third-party cable if I were to own this headphone. Now, I suppose the USB-C is fine, but still a bit stiff and janky for my taste. The big issue is with the 3.5 passive cable. This cable carries some microphonics I found, and unfortunately had some noise when I would plug or unplug the cable to my amps. Now, I'm thinking it's a shielding issue. I'm honestly not really sure. I just didn't have a great experience with the cables. It is good to note, however, that since it is a 4-pole connection, it can carry the mic audio to a compatible amp that will take it. So you could use it as a wired gaming headset without a problem. Also, I found the mic quality to be pretty mediocre, and I'm sure you've heard it during my mic test. Not great, not terrible, just meh. Now, I will say that I was told by my friends in the other end that I sounded great, so this could have just been a case of how it picked up the mic during a video recording from my phone, so take that for what it is. As for the rest, I pretty much had a great experience from there. I think this is a very versatile headphone. The sound quality, in my opinion, is superb and customizable thanks to the app. The battery life is outstanding, and the build, other than the headband, is excellent. So I do think Apollo has a winner of a headphone here, albeit possible comfort issues for some who choose to own it. I guess you could say that Noble put proper focus on some of the most important aspects of a Bluetooth headphone. Hopefully you enjoy this video and my impressions of the Noble FoKus Apollo. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel to get notified of more future content. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.